Hey guys, it's me, the Sepia Scholar, aka V, here with another review and recap for And Just Like That, Season 1, Episode 5, Tragically Hip. Hope you guys are safe and happy. Today was my first day back at work and I am exhausted, but I thought I'd get out another video so I can get us all caught up. As I stated, this episode is called Tragically Hip. I felt like this episode was pretty good. It's way better than ones that have come out, and it's sticking more to what Sex and the City was actually about and what I expected from this reboot. So let's get into it. Let me take a little sip, make sure my throat not dry. Is it alcoholic? Is it non-alcoholic? You'll never know. And let's get straight into the episode. So Carrie takes Seema to where she's been staying at in a brownstone, and Seema walks in and she's analyzing the place because she's a realtor, and she says everything is about a sale. So she's looking at the colors, how the layout and everything. And Carrie, when she gets to go up the stairs, she grabs an umbrella to try to get up the stairs. And Seema's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And Carrie says, "It's just my lower back. Sometimes I need help getting up the stairs." She said she Googled it, and it says that the internet says that she has old lady back. I'm a tragic Googler myself. You go to WebMD, they end up saying you got everything is cancer. Itching your toes, cancer. A cough is cancer. So don't do that. Don't be like me. So Carrie says she has old lady back. I just wanted to speak on about both their outfits because most of the show is about fashion. They both look fabulous. They both have beautiful, light, calm tan looks, or I think Carrie has on something floral, whatever. And back to what we were talking about. So when Seema sees that Carrie's in so much pain, she sets her up with her cousin, who's an orthopedic doctor. And Carrie's like, "This is a common senior condition," and Seema tells her she's not old. So once again, I'm going to speak on this. I don't know what the writers of this show are trying to do. If you think about it, Samantha was actually 55 when the original show was going, and she was not old. Her hip wasn't falling apart. She wasn't coming apart like "I'm gonna get you, sucker," foot flying off, wig, all this crazy stuff. They act like 55 is ancient. I don't know why they're doing this storyline like this. I don't know what the point is, but they just keep emphasizing it, and it's really, really like bringing down the show for me. So basically, my thoughts on it was when I did look at Carrie, although her outfit and everything was beautiful and her hair is pulled back, real flowy, Carrie looked older than a mug. I don't know what is happening because some scenes she looks her regular age, everybody ages, and then others she literally looks like she's 80 years old. I don't know why. It's the makeup, the lighting. I don't know, but they need to work on that. So, but back to what we were talking about. Nima sets up an immediate appointment before her showing, and as they're walking around, Carrie says, "I don't really need to go to the doctor. I have these fancy heat pads." But Seema says, "I'm going to set up the appointment anyway." And Carrie turns to Seema like, "Man, you should run my life." And Seema agrees, like, "You definitely need my help." So they're building their friendship more and more, as I stated in the last episode of this. So Seema says, "Chop, chop, Grandma. He'll see you in an hour." And while they walk out, the badge falls out from Carrie. She says, "Look, it's magic. It's already floating." So this kind of was a callback to the old episode of The Old Maid when they went to Reno because it was Charlotte's birthday and she didn't want to feel old. And now they seem to be playing Old Maid in real life. But I digress. So now they're at the doctor's office. Seema basically confronts her cousin for taking too long. I'm wondering if Seema's going to pay this man. Is this supposed to be a favor? What happened to all the patients that already had their appointments set? She just came in there like she was running the place, but that's my boo, so I'm okay with her doing what she does. But it was kind of like, if it was me, she would have got cussed out. So he jokes with Carrie and says, "I'm sure my cousin gave you my full resume and my dating history." And he pulls out an x-ray of her hips, and Carrie's like, "I thought it was my back." He's like, "No, it's your hips." And he tells her that she has an undiagnosed congenital birth defect, and he could fix it with a surgery, and she could be just like new. So it pans over to a scene of her going out with, after that, she goes out with Miranda, Anthony, and Charlotte, and she's happy that she's not an old lady and she just has a defect. She's super happy about it. Charlotte says, "Well, technically, you are having this old lady surgery because, your hips." And Miranda says, "Hip as an adjective is young. Hip as a noun is old." And Anthony, who is the only funny thing on this show to me, says saying hip as an adjective is just like knocking on the nursing home door too. So they're all old. Their vernacular is old. I be saying turn up. I'm sure turn up is over, but you show your age every time you use your slang. So it is what it is. Carrie gets upset jokingly. She says she's not going to pay for lunch anymore. Then Anthony starts roasting her even harder, saying that he's so happy that they found an archaeologist that could help her with her old fossil ass bones, and I get a kick out of him every time. But in the middle of that, Miranda says we should get champagne to celebrate, and everybody's like, "What the hell? We're at lunch. Why are we getting champagne?" Miranda will do anything to get a drink. So, like I said, it's the drink storyline. They're pushing that some more. Then they flip over to Charlotte. Charlotte being Charlotte, creates an Excel spreadsheet to see who's going to help Carrie recover. So Carrie says she will hire a nurse because she doesn't want to bother them. She just doesn't want to be alone. So keep that in mind for later in the episode. It's going to be months of recovery with no heels. And Anthony asked her if she has any flat shoes. She said she bought some Toms back in 2007 so she could feel like a good person. And now that I think about it, I never saw Carrie in some flat shoes except for that one time she got mugged and she had to walk around in some what do they call it? When you go get the pedicure flats because they stole her Manolos. So that's the only time I've ever seen Carrie in some flat shoes. So true fact. So they go to a scene where Char is in a kitchen having a Zoom call with the school mommies. I noticed that all the mommies are very diverse. I guess Cynthia Nixon, who plays Miranda, really did go out her way to make sure the show was diverse and included everybody. And they're planning a trip to the MoMA, Museum of Modern Art. And all of them start talking about this really cool kid named Rock. Rock is good in the school play. And Charlotte's like, Rock, who's this new kid? Did I miss a new kid that came to the school? And everybody just froze. She literally thought there was a hiccup in her Zoom call. And LTW automatically shuts the call down, and the scene goes to LTW confused and conflicted and stressed. So she picks up the phone and calls Charlotte directly, where Charlotte is looking confused and stressed. And she goes, I assume, Charlotte, you knew. Rose told everyone at school to call her Rock. At first, Charlotte thought it was some cool nickname, but then she thinks about it. Is it because she doesn't want to be Rose anymore? And LTW says, I don't know. We got to figure out the context. I have no clue. Charlotte automatically gets upset and starts chopping the hell out of some veggies. She stomps into the living room where Harry and the girls are playing video games and blocks the TV. And she asks Rose if she changed her name. And Rose is like, yes, I did. And Charlotte and Harry say, you didn't tell us. Rose says, yes, I did. I told you via TikTok. So now I'm going to risk sound old myself. That's how kids these days are communicating via TikTok. I would be really ticked off if my kids didn't tell me something big like that and told me go. That's like telling somebody to go Google it or any other, slick way to tell them to go figure out themselves. But side note, so she shows her parents the TikTok and she's rapping, which this rap was terrible. And Harry asks if she's a rapper now, and she's like, nope, I just feel like Rock. So that's what she wants everybody to call her, Rock. So we go over to Miranda. So this is one of my favorite scenes in the show. So here you go. So now we're over at Miranda's, and she's opening Amazon boxes. I'm sorry, y'all. I have an Amazon addiction. I'm sure them people next door think I'm selling dope because so many Amazon boxes show up. I love to online shop. I order almost everything from Amazon since the panoramic. That's what we're going to call it because we don't want to get demonetized. And I understood I have boxes everywhere. So she's sitting there, open up a bunch of boxes, and Brady's girlfriend comes and talks to her. And Miranda says, not all these packages are for me. And pulls out these tube socks and strawberry flavored Astroglide. And I'm like, what the? Ooh, I almost cussed on these people's video, trying to be good. She's basically, the little girl grabs the Astroglide and the tube socks and says, oh, this is our stuff. And I'm like, how would I feel if my son was living his best life with his little girlfriend and ordering lube for me to open up? Everybody getting a whooping, everybody getting. Like I said, nobody's cracking knees. Nobody's getting hit except for me at my goddamn house. So, pardon my French, I get hyped up about it. But basically, she grabs the little packages, and she even says, the little girl knows she's out of line. She says she loves how cool Miranda is because her mom would flip out because she's not as open-minded as Miranda, and she'll probably choke her with the rosary beads. So I noticed in the show they kind of downplay religion a lot. It's usually like a little backdrop or whatever. But I mean, I don't think being a mom yes, it can include religion, but usually a mom doesn't want her daughter to be, giving it up all freely. But hey, and so Miranda opens up her package and she pulls out this book that's about quitting drinking, and it says "Quit Like a Woman." And she basically hides it from the girlfriend because she doesn't want her to know that somebody might think she has a drinking problem. And the girlfriend asks her about the book, and she says it was a mistake and that she didn't order it. So now we have a mystery on our hands. Who ordered this quit drinking book? So now we're back to Carrie as she's checking in for her surgery. And they actually give her one of those buzzers, like you have at Applebee's that lets you know when your reservation is ready. So I'm like, what fancy place is this? So Miranda is there and complains that she believes that Charlotte ordered her that anti-drinking book. Like I said, Quit Like a Woman. And she brings up all the times that Charlotte called her out on the drinking when she had the Tito's in her bag, when she was heavily drinking the wine at lunch. And Carrie turns to her and looks at her. How do you know it was her that ordered the book and sent it to you? And Miranda says, well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to send her a book on how to tell her to pull her stick out of her ass like a woman. So I was like, Miranda's always ready to fight. She's always on go, and she's dead wrong. And just a side note, they have really, really dumbed down her character. Like, she used to be this really, I hate to use the word strong, but strong, sharp attorney. And now I don't know with they're trying to say with age that she's lost all that, or whatever they're trying to do with this character. It doesn't make any sense. So now Miranda, they're basically, she goes through the surgery, and now Miranda and Carrie are going over the recovery schedule. Charlotte asked Miranda about being a tomboy, and has she ever wished she wasn't a girl, because she was trying to figure out what's going on with Rose. Carrie wakes up in the middle of that and says she has to pee and can't hold it, and she can't feel anything. And she was like, now I see why people are hooked on pain drugs. So I thought that was really, really funny. So basically, Carrie basically has to pee, can't hold it, can't feel anything. So Charlotte is helping her to the bathroom, and while Charlotte is helping her to the bathroom, Carrie's phone rings, and Miranda answers it, and it's Che. And she's joking with Che. She's calling herself this nickname that I guess Che gave her a nickname, Rambo. And Che's on the way up with dinner, and checks her about pronouns. There's a lot of pronoun checking in this episode, and apparently her pronoun is they. So Miranda wants her to come up because Miranda's giddy. She's all excited that this girl is coming up. And I'm going to talk about Che a little bit later, or the character of Che. I'll talk about it more later. So Carrie doesn't want Che to visit because she's in a bad state. She can't pee. She's a mess. So Miranda runs down to meet Che. And instead of going back up to be with her friend, she's down there having lunch with Che. They're bonding. Che says she had diverticulitis. I'm jacking that word up. Basically, the bubble gut. All the time until she figured out that she was holding all her feelings and stress in, and it made her sick, and that she needs to let it all hang out. Yes, stress can kill you. So anybody who has stress, go get therapy, go get whatever you need to help you get through the stress so that your body can be at its best condition, right? So Miranda turns around and tells Che, yes, she felt the same thing. She was feeling trapped at her law firm, so she quit. Life is too short, and they're basically bonding over both of them leaving their old lives. So the next scene goes to Anthony taking Carrie basically to her place after her surgery, and he picks her up in a hot fella's truck, and this really, really buff ass vanilla dude done stepped out, chest percolating, strong muscles, greased up. I was here for it. And Carrie basically is high as a kite. And he takes her up the stairs, and that was some true Sex in the City, because got the little hot guys. So they had the episode with stripping firemen, and they always did that in the show. And the sailors, so they always emphasize hot guys on the show. So that was a throwback to the old show. Now we're with Carrie, high as a kite, doing her podcast about boundaries, and she basically tells them about the time that Samantha Jones, they said her full name, the ghost of Samantha is in this show again, pulled the diaphragm out of her for JJ with her bare hands because it was stuck. And she was like, she was all up in there. And the greasy and appropriate guy was enjoying that shit a little too much, kind of creeped me out, cringe. But I do remember that classic scene of her pulling out the diaphragm. I have no friends that I'm that close with for them to be all up in the JJ. I'm not there with anybody. So once she finished telling that story, Charlotte is worried that Sam will be upset and that Carrie should reach out to warn her that it's going to be pulled out because put out there because she put her first and her last name out there. So cliffhanger on that. So back to Harry and Charlotte at the school, confronting them about letting Rose slash Rock change her name without their permission. They said they didn't know they didn't have her permission. They used non-binary pronouns and insinuated that the parents were resistant to her change. They try to make them the bad guys, basically. They say they run a supportive environment for all children, and they recommend a therapist. They made a call. They basically made the call for the parents, and I would be highly, highly, highly upset. I do not say about my children, and people don't make decisions for my children, so I would have gone crazy on them people, but they're better than me. They're not me. But when they get outside after having to talk, Carrie's like, she rebels on everything. She threw a finger while she was in her ultrasound. But he also said, man, I feel so humbled that I had to be told about my own child, and I totally get it. Nobody wants to hear about their own child. So that was a deeply personal scene for me. So I was there for it. So now we go back to Miranda in Carrie's apartment. And Chase stops by to drop off some podcast supplies, including tequila. And they said it's because they want to keep Carrie talking and being inappropriate. Miranda is way too boosted to see her. She told her that Carrie's in there taking a druggy nap, and since Carrie's asleep, they think they're split. Che and Miranda start taking shots. They start laughing so loud, and I was like, these people are just. I know she's asleep, but dear God. And then Che starts smoking. She's always vaping or smoking some green. And Miranda asked for that shotgun. Now, I told y'all Miranda was way too excited for that shotgun the last time they did it, and I get it, allegedly. But it was just way too much excitement. So after she gives her the shotgun, she starts kissing her neck, rubbing on them tatas. They were going for it. They were just going at it in the kitchen. And Carrie wakes up and has to pee. And there's a mirror that reflects from the room to the kitchen so she could see them getting it in. And she doesn't want to be bothered. She's all disoriented, so she's trying to get up to pee, and she ends up finding a Snapple bottle to start to pee in. And while she's doing that, y'all, I don't know if Che got magic fingers, she got some magical mystical fairy dust on her lips, but she's barely touching Miranda, and she is making the loudest orgasmic noises I've ever heard. I like, whatever this lady got, I need to find it, because if somebody can do that without you touching them, that is insane. Like, I'm here for it, right? So by the time Che gets in them pants and touches that box, Miranda loses loses everything. She's here for it. It's all over. It's loud. She busts a big old She busts a big old nut, and she's like, woo! And Carrie's like, oh my God, because she spilled the bottle of pee on the bed. And now she's devastated because she done seen her friends, getting it in. And she is ticked off. And then they realize that Carrie is awake. So Miranda goes in there. She's super embarrassed. She got to clean herself up from busting that nut. And she goes to the bathroom to pee herself. And while she's in the bathroom, Carrie calls her out and is going off. She comes out of the bathroom and she tries to change the sheets, and Carrie's like, no. She's like, I sat up here. I told you guys I didn't want to be alone. Now I'm peeing the bed. My sheets are covered in pee. The apartment reeks of green. And I just seen you smashing my box. Like, what is going on with you? Sometimes you got to ask your friends what's going on. When they start doing real crazy stuff, there might be something behind the scenes that's causing them, or they could just be a bad person. Either way will work. But it's your friend, so you want to know why. So she's like, what's going on? Why are you doing shots in the middle of the day? And Miranda tries to grab the sheets from Carrie and pull on them, and Carrie's upset because, remember, she had hip surgery. She's like, you're hurting me. Stop. Like, she is pissed, literally and figuratively. And Miranda insists on getting the sheets because they're soaked, and Carrie just keeps going off. And she basically said she doesn't feel like Miranda was there for her. And she told them she didn't want to be alone. And that also was a callback to another episode when Miranda's back went out, and she basically went down in the shower and was on the ground naked, and she told Carrie to come save her, and Carrie sent Aiden instead. And so Aiden saw Miranda in all her glory, and it was a big problem then. So I guess this is the other way around. So Miranda is apologizing, and she does a nervous laugh. I do the nervous laugh too, and people get upset, but you can't help it, right? And she says, "No more tequila for me." And he's like, "This is not funny, right? Like at all." She said, Carrie's like, "Charlotte was right. You do have a drinking problem." And Miranda's arguing, "No, I don't have a drinking problem. I just got carried away." And she was like, "Yes, you do have a problem. You're married and you just had sex in my kitchen." And Miranda finally admits that she is miserable. She says she feels unhappy. She's trapped. She hates her marriage and life. And Carrie asked her since when she felt this way, and she says forever. And Carrie's like, "It's not true." And Miranda says it feels like it is. And Carrie says, "Why didn't you say something?" And Miranda's like, she didn't know what to say. So I'm like, it makes me think back to the movie and to the show. And I'm probably gonna do a video on this. Miranda and Steve were unequally yoked, but because Steve was so amazing and so loving and everybody wants to be nurtured, I think Miranda went along with it. Yeah, I don't think the lesbian storyline is realistic. I mean, for real life, Miranda, Cynthia Nixon, it's true. But for Miranda, I don't think she would have went this route. But I felt like she basically wanted the family and the brownstone in Brooklyn and all that good stuff. And remember, in the movie, spoiler alert, Steve cheated on Miranda, and they ended up because they weren't having sex then. So they've always had that problem, and now in this show, they haven't had sex in years. So Steve's more of a friend, and I remember their sex scenes being super duper hot. So they're good in the bed, they just don't do it often, right? So, but I digress. So she basically asked to change the sheets again, and Carrie's like, "You should look into the drinking." And she states that she started drinking in the pandemic and it kept going, but she doesn't have a problem or need a goddamn book. But her words, not mine. So she says she knows what she doesn't want to quit, and that's Che, because she's never felt like that in her life. So I wanted to speak a little bit about the character Che. I guess I could see the little sex appeal a little bit. I'm not into that or whatever, but I feel like the character, the lady who plays Che, is trying way too hard. Her jokes are not funny. They're throwing huge whole Netflix specials in the middle of the episodes. I wonder if that was in her contract. I'm just not here for Che. And then they made her a love interest in the show. We don't get that many sexy scenes. And the one time we get a sexy scene is with Che's dry ass. I just was like, although apparently she has magic fingers and lips. So, I mean, it ain't that damn dry. So that's how I'm not here for Che. So, but Miranda says she's not going to, can't quit you. So she's going to be around for a while. So now Carrie's sitting there alone contemplating. She sends a text to Samantha. And like I said, they're making Samantha like Charlie from Charlie's Angels. There, but not really there. But she actually answers. And they have a good conversation. And at the end, she sends, "I miss you." And then you could see the typing from Samantha and then no response. Don't you hate when a bitch leave you on red? But I digress again. So it goes back to Miranda laughing at the pot in her kitchen, laughing at Che's podcast, which is not funny. Fixing her yet another drink. Looking at Amazon, and the survey comes through that asks you if you were happy with the book that you purchased. So it turns out nobody bought the book but her. She was drunk ordering, and she was like, "Oh my God, what else did I drunk order?" And she starts pouring out all her liquor. So she had a realization that she did have a drinking problem, and she's going to stop. Let's pray that that's the end of that storyline. So now we're over with Charlotte, and Carrie at physical therapy, and they're talking about Rose, and she's trying to figure out, is she overreacting or underreacting? And I know, like, it's a big thing in the Black community because we have Dwayne Wade's son. I think that's what they call Zion, Zion or whatever. And it's a big debate on when you're old enough to really realize what you want to do with yourself. And so she's really worried that they're doing the right thing, and she's having a little bit of trouble with the change. She starts tearing up, being normal Charlotte, super emotional. And Carrie says, "Calm down, Rose is amazing, and she will be just fine. We'll get there when we get there." Same thing Anthony told her, to calm her ass down. Then as we're sitting there, fine ass Travis, the physical therapist, comes out. And I'm like, my Lord, I'm not into vanilla, but if I was, yeah, we're gonna leave that there. And so Carrie goes back there with him. They're talking about. He's like, "What are your goals for the physical therapy?" And she was like, "To wear heels again." I'm not a heel girl. I'm good in some flats. I'm good in some sandals. I can barely walk in them heels. I'm probably like that girl in that one viral video who tried to be cute in them heels and went down like a pile of bricks. That's me. So if she likes it, I love it. So she finishes the therapy session. I was really upset. They every time there's some fine dude or some sexy situation, they skip over it, but they want to talk about hips and hurt backs all damn day. The show is tripping. But they go out there and they're like, "Oh, your insurance doesn't cover Travis," and they say you can get this other guy who doesn't have pretty privilege as a man, right? She's like, "Nope, I'm willing to pay out of pocket for Travis." So I guess that's gonna be her motivation to go to physical therapy. Then it skips to 3 months later, and she's in her closet and she's in her heels in this beautiful sparkly schmuck dress and some heels, and she looks like her old self again. How does she look better after the surgery than before? How that work? Well, thank the Lord for modern medicine. But that's the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, the episode is back to the old way that the show was. You got the Astro guys, you got the tube socks, you got people getting it in the kitchen, with mystery magical hands. I mean, I was here for it. I wasn't as bored as I usually am with this show. So I'm all caught up now. I have a couple of scenes coming up. I'm definitely working on that Men of Insecure video. I'm checking out a book and doing a review. The book that I'm going to do is called Playerism, The 7 Levels of the Game, because I'm going to do some dating books and tell you what I think about them, and it's by Professor Joe Casey. So look forward to doing that with you guys. And until next time, send lots of love, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Tell me how you felt about the video. Thank you. Bye.